Duchess is played right, she can carry an entire team. So in this guide, we're going to go over everything you need to know from relics, best weapons to use, as well as certain tips and strategies that are going to make your runs a lot easier. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. And I've been putting a lot of time into Elden Ring Nightreign, and Duchess has definitely been up there with the amount of time that I've played, being somewhere around 20 hours with her. She is a lot of fun to use. As I said, if you are good enough with her, you have the ability to carry teams. You can play her as both a support as well as an offensive character if you decide to do that, but her scaling and her stats are actually very interesting, which provide a huge variety of playstyle, not just the dual daggers. Now, I will say I enjoy playing her with dual daggers the most. She has an awesome dagger moveset. She is incredibly nimble, which just goes well with the daggers in general, but when you look at her stats, she has a D in strength, which is expected, a B in dexterity, a B in faith, which is incredibly interesting, and an A in intelligence. It's kind of like someone took a bunch of darts and threw them at the board and just picked out which stats from that they wanted her to have. The A scaling intelligence is really interesting because you can use her as a spell blade if you want to, using something like the Moonveil Katana. You can even use staves with her, but the B scaling in faith is interesting as well because that means you can use seals and get some decent damage out of incantations using Duchess as well. She seems to be a jack of all trades, but there definitely is a way to play her, in my opinion, which is what I'm going to go over in this video. Now, given Duchess's kit, I believe the way to play her, or at least the way that the game leans into you playing her, is to use the dual dagger approach. The reason being is because one of her skills, her passive ability, is going to allow you to reduce your stamina cost of melee attacks as well as your evasive actions, allowing you to be even more nimble than the typical Nightfarer, as well as having your attacks cost less stamina, therefore being able to get more attacks off and do more damage. Now, we do need to take a moment here and focus solely on her dodging. Because of this passive ability, you can just spam the dodge button and be all over the place. You can dodge incredibly eloquently, and you also get a double dodge allowing you to flip backwards. You are just absolutely unkillable if you can master the dodge of Duchess. And as her passive ability says, because it takes almost no stamina to dodge, you can do this continually and absolutely dance around bosses. So for this reason, we're going to be going into the dual dagger build and the dual dagger playstyle. First off, let's go ahead and look at the relics. Now, I have done every single one of Duchess's remembrance. If you want to get any of these relics, typically they all come from those remembrances. So go ahead and check out the links in the description below. That will be a YouTube short for each individual remembrance, so you can get all of these relics for yourself to max out your kit. First and foremost, we're going to be using the Knight of the Baron. This is going to improve critical hits +1. Critical hits are great for daggers. We're also going to be filling that art gauge every single time we get a critical hit, and critical hits are going to boost stamina recovery speed. So this is really awesome if you play around daggers and your team is breaking boss stances constantly, because you can get those crits in and activate everything in the Knight of the Baron. For the second relic, we're using the Golden Dew. This is going to improve your character skill, attack power, and it's going to boost the attack power of any added affinity on your attacks. Basically, any grease, anything that you put on your weapon, any affinity that's already on your weapon, you are going to have more attack power and do more damage. Your character skill, which we're going to get into in just a minute, is also going to do more damage because it's going to have more attack power as well. So the Golden Dew is a solid choice here in slot number 2. Now, for our last slot, we are using the Blessed Iron Coin. This once again is from one of Duchess's remembrances, and upon defeating enemies while your art is active, it ups your attack power. So anytime an enemy dies, your attack power is going to skyrocket, you're going to do more damage, and this also encourages you to use your art as much as possible, especially while fighting smaller mobs. You're also going to get continuous HP recovery, which is great because Duchess is very squishy, and you're also going to get a +3 vigor boost because once again, Duchess has a low health pool, but with that extra vigor, we're going to be pushing ourselves up a little bit more to be able to continue to survive in Nightreign a little longer. So you might be asking yourself the question, well, what if I don't have any of the relics that you have mentioned? And that is totally fine. You can always work towards getting these by doing the remembrances, but if you don't have them, look for anything that is going to give you either more health, more crit, more dexterity, or filling your ultimate arts gauge. Any of those are going to be great and a fantastic addition to Duchess's kit while you wait on getting these best in slot relics. You can also look for any relic that's going to up your quality of life at the beginning of your run. Such things like adding affinities onto weapons are are always an excellent choice as well. Now I do want to take some time here in this guide to talk about her character skills and explain a little bit about what they do as well as how to best utilize them in your trek through Limveld. So first and foremost, obviously we've talked a little bit about her passive ability, Magnificent Pose. As I said, this is going to allow you to attack and dodge very, very well. It's also going to be allowing you to dodge repeatedly, like that double backwards dodge, as well as just dancing around the boss as you dodge. And it's also going to reduce the stamina cost of your attacks, meaning you are going to be able to get attacks off faster and more of them, which is always great, especially in a game where everything revolves around time and getting things down quickly. Now, for her second character skill, Restage, this skill is absolutely fantastic. Now, although the skill is very vague when you read the description, I'm going to explain a little bit about what you're actually going to do with it. So, Restage is going to be an instant cast with almost no animation, and you're also going to be able to use this at range. What it does is it's going to take every bit of damage that has been done in the last few seconds to an enemy, and it's going to do about 45 to 50% of that damage again. This allows you to pour out a crazy amount of damage very, very quickly, and with the right relics, you can refill this gauge very fast, constantly using Restage, activating those relics, and just boosting your attack power, making Duchess a very, very deadly candidate when it comes to picking your Nightfarer. But I also want to tell you the best times to use Restage in order to get the most bang for your buck. So anytime your team or you get a critical, use Restage right after the critical takes place. This also is true for blood loss, getting that massive chunk of blood loss off. You will then get another chunk of blood loss at 50% power and do a ton of damage very fast. This works for things like Frostbite as well. Basically, anytime you pour out a lot of damage very quickly as a team, use Restage right after it and you will continue to pour on the damage, making this, in my opinion, one of the most overpowered abilities in the game. Now, for her ultimate art, it depends on how you look at it and how you're playing the character. Some people absolutely hate this art and other people sing its praises. So I am somewhere in the middle. I think the ultimate art is very, very good given circumstances that your team may find themselves in. So what your ultimate art does is it just makes your entire team invisible. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but when everybody is downed except for you, you become the support character of a lifetime. The bosses cannot target your team, they cannot see your team. It gives you an excellent opportunity to run up, get your teammates up before the time runs out. Now, another way I like to use this ultimate art is once we start a boss encounter, whether it's in an Everjail, whether it's a Night Lord, whether it's just a normal boss you find yourself in day 1, 2, or 3, I like to use this ultimate art at the beginning of the boss fight. This allows you to pretty much ambush the boss and get as much damage off as possible before the boss starts hitting you, because the ultimate art does have two downsides that really kind of suck. First and foremost, the second you start hitting somebody from your invisibility, they can pretty much target you and see where you are and start doing damage to you. The other thing that's kind of rough is the fact that you can just be walking by the boss and a stray attack will hit you while you're invisible, which is really too bad because even though you are invisible, you still are going to take damage from anybody who gets too close for you, or if you get caught in a stray explosion or something like that, you are definitely still going to be vulnerable to that. So you need to make sure that when you are invisible, you maximize your potential by doing some kind of an ambush attack or getting out of the fight so you can heal. Now, the very last thing that I want to talk about is your weapon choice. We've talked about how Duchess is a jack of all trades and can be played a variety of different ways. However, what types of weapons should you be looking for on a run? In my opinion, that depends solely on how you have decided to play the character. However, I have found some of the best damage I can get from Duchess happens when I'm wielding status effect daggers. Being able to proc poison, frost, bleed, or any other variety of different statuses is going to allow Duchess to pour out damage like crazy. She also is very good with a single or dual katanas, and as I mentioned before, I found that she was absolutely phenomenal when using the Wing of Estelle, being able to pour out a ton of magic damage, as your magic damage is going to scale with your intelligence, and her high intelligence scaling makes her a very good candidate for this weapon. I highly recommend that you give that a try. However, as I stated before, status effects are your best friend. Look for a different status on each weapon or each dagger to get the most bang for your buck when choosing Duchess. And that is going to be it for our Duchess guide of everything that you need to know in order to be successful when playing Duchess in Elden Ring Nightreign. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if there's anything I missed down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and hit your bell notification on the way out. And until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.